So today in this session, we are going to start with the Competition Act. Okay. And we are also going to cover the accounting aspects of the mergers and amalgamation. The reason being that the Competition Act, that kind of questions which Institute is asking from Competition Act is little more vibrant, more different types of questions they are asking as compared to the set questions which they ask from the accounting aspect. So before we just go ahead with the Competition Act, I'll just give you a quick review of the entire Competition Act that will again help you to frame the answers in the exam. So the Competition Act, there are broadly three sections like I have written here. Uh, Section 3, Section 4, Section 5. So Section 3 tells what are the anti-competitive agreements or the anti-competitive practices. Section 4 tells you about the abuse of the dominant position, and Section 5 tells you about the regulation of the combinations. Now, in our syllabus, okay, in our syllabus, we have the combinations. Okay, broadly, we have the combinations where we get most of the questions for. Now, also understand that when it comes to the regulating the combinations, you have section number 5 which provides the threshold. Now what do you mean by combination? So two companies, they'll come together. Either there will be some acquisition of asset or there will be some acquisition of the company control, whatever. So this is there. So there is going to be acquisition of shares, there can be acquisition of voting rights, there can be acquisition of assets, or there can be an acquisition of control by one over another enterprise. So in that case, this acquisition may result in the combination. Now this is the definition of combination. Okay, now once these threshold limits are increased, okay, once these threshold limits are increased or you hit these threshold limits, in that case, you become a combination. So Ramakant is saying that he can't hear me. Is it the same with all of you? Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? Ramakant, just check it from your end whether there is a issue. Okay. So Regulation 5, this tells you about the threshold for the combination. So what happens in case of combination? There is going to be some acquisition and that acquisition is going to be beyond the limits. It exceeds the limits. That's where we say the acquisition has now become the combination. Now, once it becomes combination, then it needs to be tested whether there is any appreciable adverse effect on the competition due to this combination. If there is appreciable adverse effect on the competition, then in that case, that combination would be called as void. Now, irrespective whether the combination has taken place in India or the combination has taken place outside India, you will still have to test this, that whether it has got an appreciable adverse effect on the competition within the relevant market in India or not. Now, regulations, section 6, subsection 2, it tells that whosoever are the parties to the combination A and B, they need to intimate it to the CCI. So earlier they had to intimate to CCI within 30 days of entering into the agreement. Now they have to basically intimate it to the CCI before implementing their combinations. Now, once you intimate or once the parties intimate to the CCI, CCI is going to inquire into the combination to test whether that combination is going to have a appreciable adverse effect or not. CCI will take 210 days to basically identify whether there will be appreciable adverse effects or not, and it will complete its inquiry within a period of maximum period of 210 days. So I've written here minimum, it is maximum. Okay. Now in this case, if 210 days, or sorry, the concept that I had written here, minimum is minimum 210 days waiting period. That is, CCI will take 210 days maximum to inquire into the combination. Now, once CCI has completed its inquiry, then CCI will proceed and will give a green signal, or it would say, don't enter into this combination because it is going to have appreciable adverse effect on the competition within the relevant market in India. Now, when I say CCI will take 210 days. There can be a possibility that CCI may require more than 210 days. Now CCI can take more than 210 days, but they have to record the reasons to be recorded in writing that why they require more than 210 days. Then you have section 6 subsection 4, which says that the four types of organizations, they are exempted from intimating it to CCI or basically seeking the permission from the CCI. They are public financial institution, foreign institutional investors, okay, and venture capital fund and a bank. So when they acquire the shares or when they do these acquisitions, they need to intimate to CCI, but they did not seek permission from the CCI from basically implementing those acquisitions. But their acquisition should be pursuant to the covenant of a loan agreement or an investment agreement. Okay, in that case, they need not wait for these 210 days before implementing this combination. Ideally, if you see, that won't be even a combination. But yes, when they do these kind of acquisitions, they need not intimate it to the CCI. Sorry, they need not do the acquisition, and after they get a green signal from the CCI, they can do the acquisition and need not wait for this 210 days. Thereafter, okay, by the way, this is an important question from your exam perspective, that certain organizations or certain enterprise or certain companies are exempted from seeking prior permission of the CCI before implementing the combination. So your answer would be that yes, public financial institution, foreign institutional investors, venture capital fund and banks, these are the four institutions who need not seek prior permission of the CCI. The only thing they need to do is they need to just intimate it to the CCI. Their acquisition should be pursuant to a loan or covenant under the loan agreement or pursuant to an investment agreement. So they don't need the permission, but they need to intimate to the CCI about that acquisition. Now, what happens if the companies, including these four companies, if they do not intimate it to CCI, then in that case, a penalty would be imposed by them. Okay. And that penalty will be 1% of the total turnover or the total assets, whichever is higher. So this is also one of the question which they had asked in the exam. Generally, the penal provisions are not asked in the exam, but they had asked it here. Now, what is the penalty for furnishing the false information? A minimum penalty of 50 lakh and a maximum penalty of 1 crore. One thumb rule, if I tell you, in case any question comes in the exam with respect to the penalty under the Competition Act and you are not sure of what should be the penalty, just write 1 crore. You can bluff because most of the penalties you will find it here. So just bluff and write the penalty that the penalty would be of 1 crore rupees. Now, like I said, you have section 3, which says what is anti-competitive practices or the anti-competitive agreements. Then you have section 19 subsection 3, which says that what factors actually makes the agreements anti-competitive. You have section 19 subsection 4, which actually tells you what constitutes as abuse of dominant position or what constitutes as abuse. Okay, to constitute a combination as having appreciable adverse effect on the competition within the relevant market in India, you have section 20 subsection 4, which gives us the factors based on which you will decide whether a combination is having appreciable adverse effect or not. So section 20, this is the inquiry by CCI into the combination. Now this inquiry will be there when the parties to the combination, they will give their notice under section 6 or CCI has got a information suo moto, also CCI can start this. Now section 20 subsection 4, it provides what are the factors which are taken into consideration by CCI to determine whether the combination has a appreciable adverse effect on the competition within the relevant market in India or not. So if you remember, here we had done this chart. Okay, we had covered it through this chart, this one. think I missed it somewhere. Yes, this one. So remember, I had said that you can get this question in exam and you have to write 3-4 points, 5 to 6 points if you remember. So this was the exact question I was referring to in the yesterday's lecture, that they had asked this question in the current attempt. If you see 2021 June attempt, this was the exact question. Explain the competition test, that is AAEC, appreciable adverse effect on the competition within the relevant market in India. So there you need to write these points, that what is the actual and the potential level of competition through imports, what is the entry barrier, okay, or what is the level of countervailing power. So we had discussed all these things. So just remember the competition test, appreciable adverse effect within the relevant market in India. This can also be asked in the old syllabus also. Not that this is given like this in the new syllabus, it is also given in the module of the old syllabus, section 20, subsection 4. Okay, so this is again important. Thereafter, you have section 29, where the investigation into the combination takes place. And how does this investigation start? The show cause notice is being given to the parties to the combination. Thereafter, the parties reply. After that, CCI believes that yes, there is appreciable adverse effect. Then in that case, parties will be asked to publish that in the newspaper about their combination. Then all the affected parties will send their representations to the CCI. Thereafter, CCI is going to again send notice or seek further information from the parties to the combination, which they are going to reply. After that, CCI is going to come to a conclusion. Once CCI comes to a conclusion, then under section 31, CCI will order for that combination, whether that combination is void or they can take place, that combination can take place or they can stay there. Now I will tell you, we'll discuss all this in detail. I'm just giving you an overview. So don't worry about that part कि सर ने ऊपर ऊपर से करवा दिया. I'll cover that in detail also. We'll do everything from this slide once again. But the main reason of covering this particular slide is so that you get a complete picture that combination wale chapter se, competition act se, what all things are there that you need to keep in mind and what all questions you can expect. So the area of the questions which you are going to get in the exam is these only. You'll get question from section 5, the threshold limits. You'll get question from section 6, right? That is the notice to CCI. Then you can get a question from section 43A, that what if the company do not intimates the CCI and enters into the combination. Then you will get section 20, which is the inquiry of CCI into the combination. Then you'll get question from section 29, where it says that what or how the procedure of the investigation is going to be. Then section 31, that is the order of CCI for the combination. Then you will have section 32, agreements or combinations that take place outside India, which is having an appreciable adverse effect within the relevant market in India. Now, for new syllabus student, I would also recommend that just go through these sections also. What is relevant market? So relevant market is bifurcated into two. One is the relevant geographic market, another is the relevant product market. So you have section 19, subsection 6 and subsection 7, which provides that what factors would determine a relevant product market, what factors would determine a relevant geographic market, and section 19 subsection 5 would determine what is a relevant market. So this is, I would say, exclusively for the new syllabus student. In case you are enthusiast at the exam point of time from old syllabus, even you can cover this, but this is only the question which you are going to get. Apart from these, lately institute has also started asking questions like this. Like in one of the old syllabus attempt, there was a question on section 35 that who can appear before CCI. So any person can appear before CCI, need not be a lawyer, need not be an advocate, need not be a chartered accountant, company secretary. So chartered accountant, company secretary, cost and works accountant, lawyer, advocate, or the person himself can also appear before CCI when the investigation or the inquiry takes place. Then you have with provisions with respect to appeal. So earlier it was Competition Appellate Tribunal, compact. Now you have NCLAT. So Now the appeal from CCI goes to NCLAT, and thereafter the appeal goes to Supreme Court. Okay, and this is what was there, the procedure for investigation. So CCI is going to issue the show cause notice. Parties have to reply within 7 days. After that, if CCI believes that the combination is having an adverse effect within the relevant market in India, it will ask the parties to publish the details of the combination in the newspaper. Then within the next 10 days, parties are going to publish their details in the newspaper. This is going to be an English newspaper and a vernacular language newspaper. Thereafter, within 15 days, all the affected parties are going to submit their objections to the CCI. Then CCI will call for the additional information, and then parties are going to reply. Once the parties are going to reply, thereafter CCI is going to order with respect to the competition, and this is going to happen under section 31. Right. So this is one point. Now let's just go there. So I hope this part is clear, that what all questions you can expect from this chapter. Is it clear? This is not there in the slide. So in case you want to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot of this. Okay. I hope you must have taken a screenshot of this. Then this is the second chart of which you can take a screenshot. So last day revision, if you just want to do a quick recap of this chapter, you can do this. Then this is, so I'll just zoom in a little. Okay, so this is the next screenshot that you can take. Then this is the next slide which is needed. So if you are confused about the penalty, you can just write 1 crore. Then this is the next slide. And this is the second last slide. And this is the last slide. That's it. Competition advocacy is not applicable for all of you. So this much you have to do in the Competition Act. So if we just started from here, so we started with this. So same thing I had mentioned here also, right? But that was little in detail. So acquisition. So acquisition is with respect to the shares, voting rights, assets, and control. Agreement, again, it includes any arrangement, understanding, or which can be in formal, which can be in writing, irrespective whether it's formal or in writing. Then we had, so relevant market is, like I mentioned, you have two. One is the relevant product market and another is the relevant geographic market. Thereafter, if you see, you have combination regulations, which I had asked you all to read. So this is again the same thing. Combination is again acquisition of shares, control, okay, or voting rights or assets by a person over another enterprise when they are into the competing business, and a merger amalgamation takes place between them which exceeds their threshold limit. So the threshold can be based on the turnover or assets both in India as well as outside India. So these are the limits. This has been enhanced 100%. So ultimately, this is the table that you need to remember. Okay, this is the table which you need to remember. 5 marks question or a 3 mark question, very commonly they ask. So 2000 crore, from here asset to turnover it becomes 3 times, and from enterprise to group level it becomes 4 times, right? Then the notice has to be given to the CCI, right? De minimis exemption, though this de minimis exemption is now no longer applicable, but still they can ask you a question. So de minimis exemption is again with respect to the acquisition of small acquisitions, they have given the limit. So just remember the limit of assets 350 crore and turnover 100 crore, 1000 crore. That's it. Then where the portion of the business is acquired. So again, whenever any portion or a division is acquired, there also the intimation has to be given to the CCI, and that's where the de minimis exemption comes into picture, that where the target company is a small company, you need not go through that entire long process. Effect of combination. So if it is likely to cause an appreciable adverse effect within the relevant market in India, it will be void and it is absolutely prohibited. So the parties are going to intimate to CCI 210 days. After that, CCI will conclude whether there is appreciable adverse effect or not. Then we covered section 6 subsection 1, that if you enter into such combination, that combination is going to be void, right? And thereafter we have this exemption notification. Okay, remember this notification number, because nowadays institute is also asking you questions by straight away giving what happened in this notification. So in this 29th June notification, you got this exemption from 30 days. So probably maybe you can remember like this: 29 June, 30 days. Okay, so 29 days, 29 June, 30 days exemption you have received, right? That you need not intimate to CCI within 30 days of your agreement. You can intimate it to them at any point of time just before implementing that combination. It needs to be intimated. Then you have section 43 penal provision. So we discussed about the Jet Etihad deal. Now again, this is going to help to bring down the belated filings. Okay. Thereafter, if CCI believes, CCI can also take more than 210 days for the reasons to be recorded in writing. This is there. And these four institutions: public financial institutions, foreign institutional investors, banks, VCF, pursuant to the covenant or loan agreement or investment agreement, they are exempted to take approval from them. However, they still need to intimate it to the CCI within 7 days. Okay. Thereafter, if you see inquiry, so CCI can start the inquiry either upon its own knowledge or under the receipt of notice under section 6 subsection 2. This is the competition test that I had mentioned. Then time limit. So again, 210 days, that time limit was there. Now, if CCI is prima facie of the opinion that yes, the combination is having an appreciable adverse effect on the relevant market in India, then it is going to inform to the company that the investigation, why the investigation should not be started, like, or the why that investigation should not be initiated. Okay, so in that case, CCI will issue a show cause notice. So in that show cause notice, right? So this is there. The show cause notice will be issued to the parties, and then the parties are going to reply. Thereafter, CCI can again, if they are of the opinion that still there is going to be an appreciable adverse effect, let's do little more or let's dig little more. Then CCI will order the parties through the newspaper, to publish the details of the combination through the newspaper advertisement and solicit the objections from the parties whosoever are affected. Those parties are going to reply to CCI, and then CCI will come up with their whatever conclusion which they draw, right? So this is there, the same chart that I have discussed. I've discussed this multiple times, so I hope if you get a question, you'll be able to answer this well. And this long section of section 31, this we had just concluded like this, that if CCI concludes after the investigation that there is appreciable adverse effect or there is no appreciable adverse effect, then the parties to the combination may continue. If CCI believes that yes, there is appreciable adverse effect, but can it be eliminated through the modification? No. Then in that case, no combination. Yes, then they will propose that modification to the parties. The parties may accept, the parties may reject, or the parties may also submit a counter modification. If parties accept, parties then may continue with the combination. If parties reject, then there will be no combination. If they submit counter modification, that counter modification can be accepted by CCI. If yes, they can continue with the combination. If not, then they will be given 30 days time period to accept the original modification which CCI had proposed. And if they accept that, they can proceed with the combination. Otherwise, they cannot. So just remember that what happens after the investigation. So try to write this answer, because in exam, you cannot make the chart. Okay. In exam, you cannot make the chart. Therefore, I would suggest that why don't you practice this in writing once, that how this entire. So I'm very sure that you will remember this chart, but how to write it in the exam, I think this is one practice that you can do. And again, you can share your answer through WhatsApp. Okay. Then they have also given the deemed approval that if 210 days, right, uh, is over, then it is a deemed approval which is being given by CCI. Also, there is something in the new syllabus. This is not there for the old syllabus. This is there in the new syllabus. That is consultation prior to the proposed filing the notice to the proposed combination. This is more like an informal guidance. So in case you get a question, this is again I'm saying this is for the new syllabus. I don't think so they'll ask for old syllabus, but since you are still part of this session, so just do it. It's anyway 2 slides. It's very simple. It is basically the Competition Commission of India has given a window or an opportunity to the parties who are entering into combination that they can consult it to CCI in an informal way. Okay, in an informal way prior filing to the notice of the proposed combination. So this is going to help the companies, okay, the parties to the combination, to ensure that whatever requirements are needed, that is being filed, or whatever informations are sought by the CCI, they are going to provide all those information to the Competition Commission of India in the notice which they file under section 6 subsection 2. So this actually reduces the time. Otherwise what happens, you submit the application, then they will CCI would say that again these informations are missing, we require some more information, or there can be lot of delay in the entire process. So that is tried, CCI is just trying to reduce that time lag, and that's where you have the provision for consultation prior to the filing of the proposed combination. So just remember this. If you remember this, it was going to be helpful. So you provide a brief summary about the combination, the description about the relevant market, and what is the likely impact of the proposed combination into the competition, and what are the key issues which are there, which you again wish to seek consultation from the commission, and any other details which the parties may feel that is needed for the consultation. So that will be again helpful. So just remember this, pre-filing consultation with the CCI. And thereafter you have section 32. Okay. By the way, mens rea not applicable. Same provision like is there in case of SEBI, Shriram Mutual Fund. Mens rea is not a requirement, right? So basically, what does this mean? That in case you have forgotten to file the return, okay, or file the notice to CCI, or let's say it was a purely accidentally, you had not intended to skip the filing to CCI, but again that will not be a valid ground of defense. So it doesn't matter whether it was a willful failure or it was purely accidental. The once the default is done, you have to pay the penalty, and penalty for imposing false information, that I have again discussed it here. Extraterritorial jurisdiction. So again, the section 345 comes here. So anti-competitive agreements, that is or the agreements that have taken place outside India, or any party to the agreement is outside India. So this is point number A and B. A says that agreement is entered outside India. B says any party to the agreement is outside India. C says that the enterprise which is abusing the dominant position in India is from outside India. Okay. Then D and E is with respect to the combination, or the combination has taken place outside India, or the party to the combination is outside India. And clause F, or the point F, is with respect to any matter, practice, or action arising out of the agreement, dominant position, or combination is outside India. Very, very important question. Straightforward, they ask you. And do mention this, that this way CCI does not even, they don't have a control. They don't just have the control over the agreements that are executed in India, but even about the agreements or the parties who are outside India, provided that the agreement or the dominant position or the combination or anything should have an appreciable adverse effect on the competition within the relevant market and India. So this is the chapter, right? This is the chapter which is important, and different notifications I have already discussed there, though I believe that the notification which is given there, that is important. Now this another green channel thing which I was just discussing about before we started with the lecture, that green channel is still not there in the new syllabus module also. Like new syllabus in the sense the module for June 2022, even there it is not. But like I mentioned that green channel is a very simple concept, so I would not recommend that you should skip the green channel. Just write it. I think green channel somewhere it's here also. It's basically a self-assessment method for combination where parties are automatically given the approval, automatic approval is being given to the parties who enter into the combination. What they have to do is they just need to intimate it to the CCI about the combination. And what is so peculiar about this combination that they get automatic approval? Here, the combinations are deemed not to have any appreciable adverse effect. Why? Because they are not into the same activity, same business. They don't have any linkage, either horizontal, neither horizontal nor vertical, right? So the parties to the combination are not in the same production or similar or identical goods or substitute goods. They are not engaged in any activity which is related to production, distribution, supply, storage, sales, service, trade at different levels, right? So neither horizontal nor vertical. Then in that case, CCI gives the automatic approval for that. So basically CCI does not even do the inquiry or any sort of investigation. But later on, if CCI finds that the information which was provided under the green channel is incorrect, or let's say the combination that they have entered is outside the purview or outside the ambit of green channel, then whatever automatic approval was given, it is going to be void. Rather, it is going to be void ab initio, and the penal provisions will also get attracted. So green channel is something which again I feel can be one of the question that should be asked in your exam, but it is not there in the module. I haven't found it in the amendment sheet also, but you never know, it can be asked. So if you have seen, has anyone seen it in the amendment sheet also? I just checked today, I just checked the new syllabus, like the new module for June 2022 attempt. There nothing was mentioned about green channel. Rather, they have reduced the syllabus. They have curtailed lot of the provisions, but green channel was definitely not there. So in case you get this, please write these points you can write, and I'm very sure you'll be able to score well. Now, sorry. Now with respect to the accounting aspects of the amalgamation, so that we can discuss here. So only few points. One is accounting standard 14. So just remember those 5 conditions. If those 5 conditions are met, then this is a merger, amalgamation in the nature of merger. If any one condition is not met, it is amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So these 5 conditions are there, 3 to 5 marks. Old syllabus, commonly they ask. New syllabus, they still ask. However, I'll tell you, I've still seen certified copies where students have lost marks in this question. Reason being, either their language was too liberal or they had just got confused while writing the answer. So be very clear that you have to write the answer properly. And especially when you write all the assets, like, so I'll tell you what's the difference between a casual language and a but proper meticulously drafted answer. Casual would be all assets are transferred or liabilities are transferred. And a proper answer would be that all assets of the transferor company immediately before the amalgamation becomes the assets and liability of the transferor company pursuant to the amalgamation. So you have to write your answer like this. Okay. Such a transfer is made at the book value, which means that the transferee company records the assets and the liabilities acquired from transferor company at the same value as it was recorded in the books of the transferor company immediately before the amalgamation. See, this may take time, but you need to see, you may lose out 2 or 3 marks just by writing a casual language. So if you have time, please write it properly. If you don't have time, let's say this is the last answer, you have 1 minute, then definitely you should write all 5 points as crisp as possible. Then the transfer of the business is done at the going concern basis, which means the transferee companies intend to carry on the business of the transferor company. And then the 90% of the shareholders of the transferor company immediately before the amalgamation becomes the shareholder of the transferee company pursuant to the amalgamation, and the purchase consideration paid by the transferee company is in the equity shares of the transferee company. Cash can be paid only to settle the fractions. So these 5 conditions are extremely important. You need to write this in the exam. Thereafter, this illustration is there. Now, this illustration is there in the new syllabus module. So 90% of what? Here it says that 90% of the shareholders of the transferor company. So 90% of what? So it will be 90% of other than what the transferee company is already holding. So if there are 100 shares in the transferor company, out of these 100 shares, let's say 40 shares are already held by the transferee company, okay, and balance 60 shares are held by others. So you need 90% of this 60, okay. You need 54 and not this, because otherwise if you see 40 is already there, so you need 54. So this is the example. So if you get 54, then you say it is a merger. If you get less than 54, you say it is going to be a purchase. Okay, so this is the simple answer. So this is the question there, right? Then again, amalgamation in the nature of merger and purchase. So merger is revenue, therefore whatever gain loss would be adjusted with the revenue reserve. And since purchase is of capital nature, so the gain would be transferred to capital reserve and the losses would be written as goodwill, and it will be written off over the period of time. Thereafter, the statutory reserves, this again I had mentioned that the statutory reserves, non-statutory reserves, both are transferred in case of merger. But in case of purchase, only the statutory reserves are transferred. The non-statutory reserves are not transferred here, right? Then goodwill also we had discussed. This excess purchase consideration which is paid over the net assets which has been acquired. Disclosure requirement, we have to mention which type of amalgamation it was, provide the details about the transferor company, and then what was the assets acquired and what is the purchase consideration that was paid, and whether there is gain or loss. So that you need to mention here, right? So this is the disclosures that you have to provide, the same disclosures which are given, right? So this I had picked up from ICAI website. So this is the same thing. Okay. Then you have Ind AS. So Ind AS deals with the business combination. One of the common question, what's the difference between Ind AS and the treatment of amalgamations, or there in the accounting standard 14. So Ind AS is a broader concept. AS 14 is a narrow concept, and Ind AS 103 is not applicable for joint ventures. Okay. It results in business acquisition. So acquisition can be of the assets, liabilities, or the business. Then it is going to be business combination. Thereafter, if you see, right, in case of this business combination, I'll have this. Yeah. So everything is in case of Ind AS 103, everything is capital. Okay. Everything is capital. This you'll get it here. The difference between this. Yeah. So everything is capital. Okay. In case of Ind AS 103, everything is capital. I don't remember where I have written that. Yes, this one. So Ind AS 103 is a wider concept. AS 14 is a narrow concept. AS 14 has got two methods, and Ind AS 103 has got only the acquisition method, which is under the business combination. AS 14, you record the assets at book value, or you record the assets at the fair value, that is the market value. Ind AS 103, you only record it at the fair value. Ind AS 103, it takes into consideration the non-controlling interest either at the fair value or at the proportionate value, that is the minority shareholders. But in case of AS 14, there is no such provision. Then goodwill in Ind AS 103 is amortized and is tested for impairment on the annual basis. However, AS 14, the goodwill is written off over the period of 5 years. And then there are certain assets, intangibles, which are again identified in Ind AS 103, but those are not identified in AS 14. So this is what is there in the accounting treatment and the combination or the Competition Act of CCI, right? So I hope this must have been helpful for you all. And tomorrow we'll start with the stamp duty and the taxation part of the mergers and amalgamation. So that's it for this lecture. Take care. Bye bye.